great thing about Candace Owens is she makes you think about things you don't normally think about and look things up, like Frankists. I had to look that up. Uh, generally what's going on with the world, the Kennedy assassination and how the Jews, I mean Zionists, may have been involved. All sorts of stuff. She reads a ton of books, so she knows what she's talking about. Welcome to the Daily Objective. I'm joined by Michael Kaufman. I want to make it through as much of this clip as we can in a 30-minute show. So let's get right into it, and we'll pause it quickly.
Okay. I shouldn't even say it frustrates me. It just downright just makes me realize how much we have lost what it means to be a real man in society. The fact that I am a woman, okay, and I am the person that is saying this, okay, the fact that there are so many conservative commentators who pretend that they're so brave because they're talking about like what happened in the latest Trump thing, blah, blah, and then on the topic of pedophilia, their mom, okay? I should not be the only one calling out how many times Zionists defend pedophiles and criminals. This is not normal, okay? Why does Israel allow pedophiles from America to flee and receive protection from their state? Why are we, the country that's funding their bullshit, okay, not allowed to extradite our pedophiles? Okay, does anybody have an answer? I don't know, show hands. Anybody like, oh no, that's totally normal. It makes total sense. Like, Candace, even asking the question is anti-Semitic. Like, no, guys, there's like a problem here that we can't
All
get out.
right, all right. Yeah. First of all, you notice it's not just the content; it's also the delivery is getting to a place where you want. It's like there's something about the tonality that the only thing that's missing is her, replacing that hat with an actual tinfoil hat, and then saying that the idea that tinfoil hat somehow means you're crazy is another Jewish conspiracy. Yeah, so now the Zionists are pedophiles, harboring pedophiles. Michael, what do you make of that first part of the video?
I thought it would be a great opening to some sick comedy routine if someone were writing it. How do you even, what is she talking about? And you're right, the delivery is really a disaster. Also swallowing all the words about where our men have come from or whatever. But what is this new thing now? Is it because there are Jewish lawyers who have defended pedophiles in the past? I'm sure there are non-Jewish lawyers. The notion that Israel brings in pedophiles is absurd. I mean, I can tell you, just when I got my Israeli passport, I had to fill out a whole bunch of forms that said I had never been convicted of a crime. I actually had to give I had an FBI background check. I had one that was more than a year old. It had to be redone. And that was for a board seat that I had taken at another company. So they're very careful about who they take into Israel. So this whole thing, from my limited knowledge, is completely absurd. And I don't know what she's talking about.
Yeah, and to some extent, even when I started Googling things just because of we're doing a show about it, it reminded me, you and I and Ben Bayer did a show about conspiracy, what's called conspiracy theories, or what Ben calls conspiracism, because they're not real theories, and just engaging with the content feels like a kind of a waste of time and almost an injustice because she doesn't deserve it. And yet she has an audience for these views, and basically there are people buy into it. So okay, let's listen to some more. It gets interesting. I don't know. I don't even know what the word is. Let's just listen.
That we've given billions of dollars to. That doesn't make sense. Why would you want, as a small nation that is the size of New Jersey, okay, why would you want the pedophiles to flee there? Like, why would you want the pedophiles to be procreating? Unless the nation of Israel may have been established by some Frankists. And it's looking like Theodore Herzl's family was from the exact same area in Moravia and in Bohemia where the Frankist cult was founded. Crazy. crazy when you get into his family. That, like, maybe Theodore Herzl, who wrote in a book that he didn't care how many Jews had to die for him to get the state of Israel, like, maybe he was not actually a Torah worshiping Jew. Like, I don't
All
know.
right.
I'm just some
Um,
ideas.
okay. So, Michael, did you ever watch that show that Glenn Beck used to have on Fox News? You remember with the whiteboard?
Yeah, a couple of times. I didn't stay on it very long, but yes.
Like this was kind of his approach. Look, Obama once attended a party where somebody was friends with somebody, and I'm just asking the questions. She literally says, I just caught it now. I didn't catch it the first time I saw it. That her argument for this is that he was from the same area. Herzl was from the same area where the Frankists founded their cult, which by the way I had to look up as well what Frankists are. Now, there's so much that is that has to be read into things. Okay, he was from that village, and then they decided, and then they told, and the thing is, it's not just the few people in the know who know what Israel really is, which is a Frankist, whatever it is. It has to be everybody, right? In some sense, everybody has to be in on it. Otherwise, what difference does it make? But I don't see that I don't see her going through that rigorous process.
Well, I think part of what she's trying to do is sound intelligent by mentioning Theodore Herzl, which for the minority of people who probably went and looked it up, if they didn't know, he was the prototypical Zionist, or had this vision of Jews going to have their own land. But that's the way you mix this stuff up, right? You bring in one or two facts that establish you as a sort of expert, and then all of a sudden you can say anything you want because it all follows from there. It is a remarkable notion that this, I mean, come up with that. How could anybody follow such ridiculousness? It's crazy.
Yeah, and yet she not only follows it, but millions follow her.
No, yes.
Thank you, Robin, for being a member for 26 months. Robin says, "Why are conspiracy theorists so obsessed with pedophiles?" Maybe because they're all pedophiles. I'm just asking questions. I don't know. No, that's I'm kidding. That is me trying to go down their rabbit hole. Thank you, Bonnie, for the super chat. All right. Okay. Oh, we have some Candace Owens fans in the house. We'll read what they say if it is entertaining enough. But Candace is entertaining enough, so let's listen to a bit more of her.
Here, and by throwing out some ideas, I mean I've read a ton of books and I've figured it out. Okay, I am just like so over the idea that Israel is our ally and friend. If another person says that stupid statement, I'm going to personally punch you in the face. I am. It's going to be me. That's a
All
joke.
right. Yeah, Daniel, if you can pause this, let me just say Israel is America's ally. And yeah, Candace Owens versus Razi Ginzberg, round one of the Women's Olympics in 2028. All right, let's continue, Michael, unless you have any comment on the threat there by Candace, which she does walk back later because I think she realizes she might not win that fight.
Well, she can punch us all in the face she wants. There are democracies and there are civilizations, and all you need to do is visit Israel or look at pictures on the web or in books, but of course she's read all the books, but and you realize this is a thriving civilization, a society, and you don't build societies like that through dictatorships. You don't build them through theocracies. You build them through mostly capitalism and economic interactions with the rest of the world. And let's face it, Israel is at the forefront of the war on terrorism against Islamic militants. And oh, by the way, we got it when Al Qaeda came at us, and we almost got it with ISIS, although we finally did put a stop quietly, I would say quietly, to much of it. So she's really completely on a different planet. And obviously she thinks there are better places in the Middle East than the rest of the world. for us to work with. But let's keep going.
When you say she's on a different planet, is that planet flat or round? Do you happen to know?
It depends on the day that she decides what it is. She's read a lot of books.
Yeah, as she will mention soon. Let's continue listening.
Personally punch you in the face. I am. It's going to be me. That's a joke. Don't take this video off of Twitter. Wink. But like, I cannot stand the people that sound like bots, the spineless cowards, and I'm calling out all of you men, everybody who has a check mark and also has a penis and has not said anything about Israel protecting pedophiles or has said the statement like, our friend and ally, but can't justify a statement. I'm talking specifically to you. So if you're sitting there wondering, you're like, hey, I have a check mark and I'm a guy and I have a penis. I've never said, I'm talking to you. Yeah, it's definitely
Yeah.
you.
All right. First of all, to the people in our audience who are sitting there thinking, "Oh, I have a check mark. I have a penis." First of all, I don't know. Women are off the hook, I guess. Women can defend pedophiles in Candace Owens' world. But yeah, Michael, any comments on how she's singling out? It's a bit sexist, that latest.
Well, half the population that watches Fox in America, and then all the men. So I guess if you watch Fox and you're a man, you're doubly in trouble. And if you just watch Fox, you're in trouble. And again, it goes back to this whole, where did she get this pedophile? Are we gonna have devil worship tomorrow? Is going to be tomorrow's Candace Owens thing. I mean, it's just, if you have two bits of common sense, you can say to yourself, let's assume what she's saying has a little bit of truth. Let's think about any groups that have committed pedophilia and whether they've kept it under wraps successfully. So the first one, of course, is the Catholic Church, which did not keep it under wraps. They've recovered largely from it, which is remarkable, but they didn't keep it under wraps. The second one is Jeffrey Epstein, or variations thereof, whether it was pedophilia or whatever, unable to keep it under wraps. My point is this stuff doesn't stay under wraps. So the fact that this is a novel idea, and clearly she's just trying to get people stirred up and come up with something, it's crazy. But I don't know why anybody would listen to her after this. She's clearly lost it.
Yeah, by the way, in an earlier video a few months ago, Candace accused Israel of killing Christians. I don't know if it was Catholics. I didn't go into the details, but could it be basically a way to cover up, so that they don't talk? Anyway, let's continue. Let's continue listening to Candace. Actually, wait. Before that, thank you, Jonathan, for the super chat. Jonathan says, Candace is a professional grifter, no original ideas. She was always just a pretty face. We'll agree to disagree on that last part, but let's continue with the video.
Directly to you, okay? So we've got this friend and ally, and we're not allowed to ask questions about JFK's shooting or the USS Liberty. Yeah. The Mossad there on the day that JFK was shot. The arguments that he was having in the days preceding with their prime minister, still classified. Okay, we're never going to know what they were arguing about. And then Jacob Rubenstein shoots the guy who said he didn't shoot the guy. Do you have a question about that, you anti-Semite? Don't come at me. I don't even want to hear questions. We're not allowed to even speak about the USS Liberty. The fact that
Wait, all right. Before we get to the USS Liberty, it's interesting. So there were arguments between the Prime Minister of Israel and Kennedy that are classified. Candace knows what's in there, apparently. Apparently, by the way, if Israel assassinates presidents who have arguments with Israel's prime ministers, every president would be assassinated. And probably many would be assassinated multiple times, throughout their tenure. Yeah, this is the way this came up. Surprised me with this clip, and it's surprising that anything can surprise me, having watched the first few minutes of this clip, because she does go in various interesting and unexpected directions. But all of a sudden, the Kennedy assassination comes up. That is a conspiracy theorist's favorite. but I didn't really see how it gets connected. She kind of attempts it there at some point. Yeah. So, Michael, who killed Kennedy?
I mean, we were supposed to have a lot of the documents declassified recently, and it was a sham. I mean, there's so many documents, they declassified a whole bunch of documents that didn't matter. Uh, it's just the whole thing is just remarkable to me that anyone would bother to waste time. It was hard for me to even get through the clip on my own before this, I can tell you the truth, because it's so fanciful. Honestly, when I trained in medical school, and it reminds me of some of the manic patients that we would meet and their flight of ideas. They would go from one nutty idea to the next one. Literally, they would be diagnosed with psychotic mania. They were having a manic psychotic break, and we would put them on high doses of lithium and then valproic acid if that didn't work, and hope that they could calm down. But this is a flight of ideas. I mean, this is pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah, you should have put them on YouTube. Sorry for making light of the situation, but yeah, it's again
We
the
didn't
fact
have it yet when I was going through medical school.
yeah, and look, the fact that again that brings me back to the fact that somebody would say this stuff isn't necessarily that unusual, because yeah, people have issues, but the fact that this is something it's like people like to see all sorts of disaster videos and stuff, and this is Candace's online presence is an ongoing disaster video series, which that's to some point makes me feel bad that we're doing this, and there might be a point where we're actually going to stop. We cover Candace from time to time when she says something. There might be a point where we say, no, there actually is a medical condition here that we probably don't want to make fun of. But that is not on this episode, so let's continue watching the clip.
Ask about, even speak about the USS Liberty. The fact that, like, after October 7th, they jammed through a bill in Congress, okay? And they were like, we must have an October 7th day of remembrance in school. Kids must learn about this in school. And we can't get one for the USS Liberty. Okay, that means your nation is being held hostage by a foreign. Yeah. So part of that Jacob Frank religion, the reason why they wanted to commit the act of pedophilia was because he believed that, like, if you were willing to commit that sin, you would do anything else. His theory was, I'm going to, like Jacob's ladder, bring you to the bottom, to the abyss, get you to do the most immoral things, only to lift you back up. And it immediately creates camaraderie among the group of pedophiles because all of them have done this horrific thing. So basically they're like, in order to like get into this religion, you have to rape a child. Okay. And so you have people that are willing to do that. Okay. That are in this religion, a religion who the first Jewish Supreme Court justice, look this up, Louis Brandeis, was a Frankist on his profile. He kept a photo of Jacob Frank's, like,
So from time to time we do things and people say you haven't researched it enough, and that will be the case here. I mean, I looked up the Frankists, but only to an extent, not to the extent that I can argue with Candace's arguments about them, because I don't care. It's not relevant really to my life. And I didn't look up the Supreme Court justice, but um yeah, it's where she takes it that should be worrying to us. And we have a super chat from Ari. Thank you for the super chat. Ari says pedophilia is legal and morally fine throughout the Islamic world. There were 184,000 child brides in Iran between 2017 and 2022 alone. Why is Israel, quote, protecting imaginary pedophiles worse than Muslims protecting real ones? It's a good question. Candace, if you want to call in, I know this is not a call-in show, but we'll make an exception. Let us know. Michael.
Yeah, I mean, there are 1,000 remarks, rebuttals. The more I listen to her, actually, I'm thinking that she's not. I mean, honestly, I'm an internal medicine doctor. I'm not a psychiatrist, but this is not normal. stream of consciousness. I mean, maybe most of it or all of it's an act. Maybe it's just so she can gather a bunch of crazy followers, and she has to get increasingly more crazy and off in order to keep them going. Sometimes I think some of the stuff that the progressive movement comes up with is just simply to outdo themselves from yesterday, and to be how crazy they can be. So it really, it is a flight of ideas. It is, none of it makes sense. It is based on a lot of fanciful notions, stuff picked out of the air, connected the dots. I mean, this meets a lot of the criteria, and you guys can all look up the DSM-5 now, the diagnosis and statistical methods for psychiatric illnesses. This is pretty manic behavior with psychosis, with thought disorder. And I don't know what else to call it, because if it's either she's either doing it strictly as an actress to garner support, which we know that there are plenty of people that do that, or she just can't help herself.
Yeah, and in my unprofessional medical opinion, it's not an act. I mean, there are people I've said, I think Jesse Lee Peterson is I'm pretty sure is an act. Andrew Tate, I think, is much of it at least is an act. I think much of what Tucker Carlson says is an act. In this case, it's also, again, I mentioned this at the beginning, but some of the delivery looks like somebody who is going. I mean, again, you can look at older stuff of hers. It's getting worse, both content wise and content wise, not just in what she's saying, but how she gets there. And her starting point was a super rational. So, but also, yeah, the delivery makes me think this is somebody who is really really losing it, if not has already lost it. Thank you, Tragedy and Comedy, for the super chat. Tragedy and Comedy says, Black woman here, Candace, Kamala, Whoopi, Oprah, vomiting emoji, sad. Yeah, by the way, we don't blame all Black people or Black women for Candace Owens. I think that's what she does to others, but that's not what we do. We blame Candace, and again, it could be that it's even beyond her current state to control. But let's continue.
He was an open Frankist family that has made it to the Supreme Court. But I guess we can't ask any questions. He was also a Zionist. Every single time, these people that are committing crimes are also Zionists. And it would be cool if, like,
wait, okay. Every single time these people who are committing crimes are also Zionists. I mean, that, I didn't think it could escalate from the Kennedy assassination being suddenly brought up in connection to Frankists, pedophiles, protected by Israel, whatever. But yeah, now every single time now. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes people talk off the cuff and say things that are not maybe exactly how they want to word it, but yeah, it did come out that way, and she could clarify later on. I don't know if any of Candace's followers are in the chat and can tell us if she did. But yeah, Michael.
No, it's the same crap that, I mean, to be blunt, Adolf Hitler spewed this crap beautifully about Jews. They control everything. Even the anti-Semitism now is that Jews control the banking system. They control the world. Ironically, it said they control Hollywood, where we have some of the biggest anti-Semitic people around. But Jews control that too. It must be some kind of a shadow ploy or something like that. Anyway, it's despicable and nuts and dangerous. It's starting to get into a little bit of yelling fire in the crowded theater and having people trample outside. It is dangerous. It is certainly, to me, I would love to get a lawyer on this to talk about whether this meets the criteria for hate speech, et cetera, because you're basically impugning an entire group of people and saying they're all criminals, or all criminals, I should say, are Zionists. Therefore, the implication being all Zionists are criminals, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would want her to get in legal trouble for this. I don't think I would. I mean, in the UK, she probably would, especially if she was talking about a group that isn't the Jews.
Yeah.
Yeah, that she would already have somebody knocking on her door. But um, yeah, I don't know. Again, she's somebody with a camera and an audience, and she says what she says, and I think it's better. I think sunlight is definitely the best disinfectant in her case. I the people who would listen to her and think, you know what, she has a good point, are not people I want on my side because yeah, the kind of thinking that leads anybody to agree with her is not very good. Um, do we have any? Don't know how much is left of the clip, but Daniel, do you want to? Oh, actually, Daniel made a point here, I think, as well. Uh, yeah, she says something about not being allowed to ask questions in regards to the JFK assassination, and Daniel says there were so many books about the assassination. This is like one of the biggest issues over 60 years later. People are still talking about it, asking questions, coming up with theories. She is doing that while saying she can't do that, so that's quite interesting. All right, let's see the rest of the clip.
Every religion has people that are corrupt and immoral, right? But we don't defend them. We don't expect them to be defended by the press. We don't have an entire ecosystem. And he believed in homosexuality and incest, all this stuff, who's protecting those people who are still, their sense, are still in positions of power. That is what makes this unique. So no, okay, I'm not gonna be like all of the other fake conservatives. Like, oh, I'm so brave. I'm talking about this issue, but on pedophilia, I'm just gonna be like, not my hill. If that's not your hill, we don't effing need you in this country. We don't need you in this country. Do you think it's normal, by the way, that basically every person who speaks about Israel has to basically say a statement that's like, I don't want to get killed? like, this is fucking like literally, you start speaking about it, people are like, Candace, beef up your security. That's not fucking normal. Like, excuse my language, but like that is not normal. Okay, it's not normal that people have
Um,
to think about their security.
yeah, all right. We're yeah. Uh, Christopher asks in the chat, is this normal speed? Define normal. But yeah, this is the actual speed of the video. Um, yeah, by the way, did you notice how she throws in there people who defend homosexuals and homosexuality and incest? Like she just throws it in there, and you can easily miss it in the sea of crap she says. But yeah, any thoughts on that? Any parting thoughts, Michael?
I think people like her, you have to shun them. I mean, she's a fool. She's dangerous. And by the way, to be blunt, if she shut up tomorrow and never said another word publicly to anyone, the world would be a better place. And the world would move on faster and better for more people. She has contributed nothing to the world as best as I can tell. She never will. And if anything, she will just foment all kinds of problems. And frankly, the people that she purports to be serving will be the ones that will suffer the most.
Well, not all Jews are Zionists, and some Jews are actually anti-Semitic or borderline anti-Semitic. As in the case of Dave Smith, one of Israel's fiercest critics out there. He debated Mark Pellegrino a couple days ago. That debate is online from sometime in the middle of last night. Some of us stayed up late to watch it, and then it affected our sleep. But we will be talking about it in the reality show, which follows this show, and we will have Mark Pellegrino himself. We will not have Dave Smith, but that's better. And we will have James Valliant on the show as well. Michael, I believe you're back for tomorrow's episode of the reality show, right? When we are
Will
talking
be.
about
Yep.
Kamala Harris. So thanks, Michael. Thanks, everybody,
Yeah.
for watching, and we'll see you in the reality show in a couple of minutes.
Cheers. Bye bye.